Hi, friends. Welcome back for a new episode of Off the Cuff as we keep working backwards through the Let's Say Nice Things reviews. Today's is going to be Jurassic Park 3. I apologize if I'm a little sniffly. We have a little bit of a bug going around the house, and I've just been sneezing for the last half hour, so if I'm a little sniffly, that's why. Alright, let's jump right into it with some of the Jurassic Park 3 critical reviews, and I'll see what I think of them. This one is from Jim Ross from the Take One magazine, after an ellipses. It's a dull regression to the mean of blockbuster filmmaking, although the regressive portrayal of heteronormativity and feminism is not at the forefront of the film's concerns. It is indicative of the lack of imagination the film has. I didn't reread that one, obviously. I was just like, oh, look, one that says it's bad. Interesting, I guess. I mean, yeah, you can say it's a dull blockbuster style movie from, that came out in 2001. This review came out in November 2024. So, yeah, I mean, it's got a lot of the verbiage I would expect from a modern review. Um, yeah, I mean, just concerning the last line, I guess it is indicative of a lack of imagination the film has. I mean, yeah, it's like a stock, monster movie kind of deal, which, I mean, is fine, honestly. Again, I'm not really sure what you're expecting. I mean, this might be a hot take. I would still say Jurassic Park 3 probably is better than at least two of the Jurassic World movies, and the only one that might beat it is the first one. But even then, after you take away the novelty of it, and you're like, oh man, it's the first Jurassic Park movie we've had since 2001. Um, it's really I mean, it suffers from the same problem that Force Awakens had, right? Where it was just kind of like Force Awakens was a rewrite of A New Hope, and Jurassic World was just a bigger version of Jurassic Park. So, I mean, all that being said, I would still say Jurassic Park 3 has more novel ideas than Jurassic World, which is super science has gone amok. Let's see here. Danielle Solzman from Souls Yet the Movies. Jurassic Park 3 manages to get even darker than the prior films, but the sequel doesn't quite capture the magic of the franchise. Yeah, I can agree with that to a certain degree. The Sims is the score is a 3 out of 5. Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair assessment. Definitely running on fumes after um, the first two movies. In particular, I mean, I think the franchise was a little bit running on fumes after they did the San Diego bit in Lost World. Because I really didn't like the San Diego stuff. I thought it was really dumb. Um, yeah, it wasn't good. As soon as they left the island, it basically was game over. And I think part of the issue is they didn't know how to end that movie. In particular, because in the book Lost World, um, it ends with all of them leaving the island, Isla Sorna, and Dodgson. I don't know if you remember Dodgson when um, Dennis, played by Wayne Knight in the first movie, is like, "We got Dodgson here," like that guy. He ends up getting omnom by a T Rex in that movie, or in the book, excuse me. So they didn't really know how to end that movie, in my humble opinion. Um, oh, this one's fun. Edward J. Epstein, from the Wall Street Journal. Jurassic Park 3 exemplifies Hollywood's standard practice of stomping a brilliant concept beyond recognition. I mean, again, I don't necessarily disagree with that when you're comparing the first movie to the third movie and you're really running on fumes as far as ideas are concerned. It's basically, again, this movie is a lot of, hey, we have Sam Neill. Let's make a really good movie, or let's try and make a movie out of it. And I still think there's plenty of redeeming qualities in Jurassic Park 3 that make it watchable. I mean, even more than watchable. I actually think Jurassic Park 3 is really good, um, for what it is. Again, if you're comparing it to the first Jurassic Park, yeah, of course, the first one's a lot better. But the third one definitely has merits to it, and that's you. I mean, not even comparing it with the new ones, like I was saying with Jurassic World. I think it has some pretty decent merits on its own. Let's see. Uh, this one's by Tim Roby from the Daily Telegraph, UK. At its best, it whips itself up into a nice scary lather, but it shrivels to nothing between the set pieces and an excessive fog, token bits of talk, and the absence of genuine elemental awe. I'm not 100% sure what that last bit meant. Um, unless you're talking about, um, being introduced to the dinosaurs for the first time, or, big creatures, etc., etc. I mean, you have a couple pretty decent bits. There's the scene where um Alan is talking to the kid, Eric, and he talks about they're on the boat, and he talks about the difference between astronomers and astronauts. Or astronomers are on the ground, they're safe and they're looking at it, and astronauts are up in space doing it. And he's talking about how Billy always wanted to be. It's hard for a paleontologist, obviously, because Billy wants to be an astronaut, and Sam Niell's character Alan is an astronomer. It's a really interesting piece of dialogue there. But then within that, they have that moment of, oh look, here are all the nice herbivores that aren't gonna try and us. Um, I don't know. So I don't the token bits of talk and et cetera, et cetera. I would disagree with that because I think the dialogue is actually pretty good, and I think it's one of those things where the acting is better than the acting elevates the writing. I'm not going to sit here and say the writing is brilliant in Jurassic Park 3, but I think given what they had, I think the actors really did a good job elevating the dialogue, the script that they got. Let's see, what's another one here? Keith Phipps from the AV Club. The latest sequel to Steven Spielberg's clever, scary 1993 original is even less necessary than Spielberg's borderline nonsensical but still pretty entertaining 1997 follow-up, The Lost World. Yeah, I mean, it definitely comes off like more of a cash grab of a franchise that still might have had something to it. And I can totally understand that. But that being said, I think it has some merits on its own, within Jurassic Park 3 and within the greater franchise. Again, I would watch Jurassic Park 3 again over at least over um Lost Kingdom, Jurassic World Lost Kingdom and Dominion. I think those are a lot less necessary even than Jurassic Park 3. Mm, all right, let's see here. We'll do one more critic and then we'll go over to some of the audience ones. This one's from Michael Strago from, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, Michael Strago from the Baltimore Sun. Despite all its talk of genetic engineering and its deliberately stupid characters, the unintended message of Jurassic Park 3 is that when it comes to art and entertainment, you can't beat human DNA. It's interesting verbiage there. I mean, I don't, if I'm understanding what he's saying here, I don't disagree with him. But again, it's not like it's a terrible movie. Again, um, would I rather that Universal had taken the money that they used for Jurassic Park 3 and maybe put it into something else? Sure, you know. in a perfect world, maybe. But for what it is, Jurassic Park 3 is still a pretty decent film in my humble opinion. All right, let's go over to audience ones and see what we've got here for bad ones. Yeah, see here, there's a lot of pretty decent ones here too. I've seen quite a few. I see 4.5. I see a 3. I see a 5. I see a 4.5. Uh, okay, here's a 2 from Charlie. I like this more than the Jurassic World films because it's unintentionally hilarious and is less than 2 hours. Other than that, this movie's got nothing. 4 out of 10. Um, yeah, I mean, again, again better than Jurassic World, which again, not saying a whole lot there, but it I would disagree that it has nothing. It does have some quality in it. Let's see here. This is from Bobby. It's a 2 star. And the last review was April 4th, 2025. This review is March 1st, 2025. This film is a small bit of nothing burger. It's the shortest Jurassic Park film and is kind of meh. It exists, and I have no strong feelings. 2 out of 5. Yeah, again, totally valid. Totally valid. Let's see here. 2.5. Just like the same quality as the second movie, in my opinion. Again, I think this from Obi-Wan Kenobi. Uh, I think Jurassic Park 3 is below the Isla Sorna scenes, but above the San Diego in Jurassic World. Um, so I still think it has some sort of merit in that regard. Let's see if I can find another one. Although more original than the second film, Jurassic Park 3 feels like a lack of direction or a complete story with a beginning, middle, and end. That's an interesting that's an interesting point. It just kind of jumps into it with no real it doesn't really jump into it with a beginning. Um yeah, I don't hate that review. Not that I've hated any of these reviews, but I don't I can't disagree with that. I definitely see where this reviewer is coming from. Um, let's see here. 1.5 stars. The Velociraptors were the only smart characters in this movie. 1.5 out of 10. It, I don't know, man. I get it. You can kind of see it as like if you were to do like I think CinemaSins has a everything wrong with Jurassic Park 3. And yeah, which I mean, if you get granular enough, you can tear apart any movie in that regard. But I I don't necessarily think um, any of the characters are particularly stupid. Um, they are what they are. They're knockoffs, and you have like the fake mercenaries who get killed. I mean, they're real mercenaries, but they get killed in the first like 5 minutes of being on the island. And then you have Mr. Kirby, who is trying to pull the John Hammond, where he's just like, I can put all sorts of numbers on this check, but obviously doesn't have the check. And Alan is a little bit of a dum dum, trying to think that lightning could strike twice in that regard. Um, um, but I wouldn't say anybody's particularly stupid. Let's see here. Find a couple more here. 3 stars out of 5. Spino carried this movie, bro. Only redeeming factor. Yeah, the Spinosaurus is again, like I said in the review, I really like the design of the Spinosaurus. I think it's really well done. Um, let's see. Find a couple more here. That one is in Spanish, and I do not understand Spanish. Let's see. Jurassic Park 3, 2 out of 5. Jurassic Park 3 lacks the depth and wonder of the original, resulting in a more straightforward and forgettable entry in the series. I mean, I appreciate the conciseness of the review in that regard. And yeah, it's not going to have the depth of the first movie. But I still, again, if you're looking for good surface level entertainment, I guess I guess I'm wondering what kind of depth people were looking for in Jurassic Park 3 than in Jurassic Park 1. I mean, Jurassic Park 1 obviously had the novelty factor, and then you have the philosophical discussion of just because you can doesn't mean you should. And of course, you're not really going to have that. You're not going to trot over that same ground the third movie in. So again, it might be an expectation thing. Not really sure what people are expecting of this movie. Let's find one more here and call it a night because I'm sleepy and I'm sniffly and I'm sure that is not great to listen to. Let's see. Okay, here's an interesting one. Um, 2 out of 5. This film gets the slight edge over the second film only because the kid is more tolerable than Ian's daughter. Other than that, Jurassic Park 3 is just as disappointing as The Lost World. It felt broken, incomplete, and pretty much pointless. The characters lacked any real convictions and were easily swayed constantly. While it was nice to see Sam Neill on my screen again, this film unfortunately felt like a made for TV side adventure to the story we were actually care about. Yeah, I can understand that. Um, Especially the made for TV aspect. It has some elements of good high budget sci-fi channel original movie in it. I can completely understand that. Um, Again, I think Lost World is a little bit better. Just don't watch the San Diego scenes. Um, I mean, it felt broken and complete and pretty much pointless. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought the Kirby stuff was engaging. Um, I'm not again not gonna win an Oscar or any awards by any stretch of the imagination, but I I was definitely more invested in the characters here than some people, clearly who have reviewed this movie. Um, I thought Eric was an interesting character. I thought the dialogue was pretty well done. I thought the whole, and it could be that I'm from a family of divorce, so of course the divorce side of it and the parents getting back together hugs a little bit maybe different heartstrings for me than it would for some other people where it's like, oh, it's always nice to have them come back, even though, like I said in the review, shared trauma uh, very rarely goes very well as far as being the foundation of a relationship in that regard. But it was still nice to see, and I think they had some pretty good chemistry together, and they had some pretty decent dialogue. Um, yeah, I mean, I think this is a pretty good review though. I would give it that. I Eric is slightly better than Ian's daughter. That's an interesting take. Um, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, although she didn't really bother me that much in Lost World. Not that I can remember her name right now. Um, yeah, she didn't bother me that much in that regard. Um, yeah, sorry, little rambly, little spacey. Appreciate you all listening and hanging out, and I think I'm pretty much caught up. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do one of these for Battlefield Earth because I don't know how much I actually want to think about that movie. But I appreciate you all listening, and again, if you have any comments or if you have any suggestions for the channel or movies or anything like that, obviously feel free to comment, or you can even email me. I have my email attached to the YouTube channel, so feel free to email me and I can always look into all that. Otherwise, I hope you all have a great day and I hope you all have a wonderful weekend ahead. Take care and see you in the next one.